this week we're not going to have the technical issues that we had last week. So please, let's just hang on for the Wi-Fi and the 3G, 4G, 5G. I hope everybody's well. I'm just waiting for the lovely Mark Hayes, who's International Creative Director of Sassoon, to come on and talk to me. He's hopefully going to request to be in the video in a moment. He does know. I've spoken to him this morning, and I've threatened him with all sorts if he doesn't make it. Oh, he's there. Hello, Mark. Yes, I can see you. Can you request to be in the video, please? As soon as you do that, I will ask you to join me. So the team are doing some great stuff this week. So my thanks to everybody. So I like Akeisha's shout out is saying, please don't ask, Mark H, how to do it. So Mark, you need to request to be in the live video. Can you see that? I'm hoping you can. I know your lovely son is with you. Keeks, if you could tell Mark on Messenger if he has to do anything else that I'm not telling him to do. Good morning, Ray Wilson Hare. Mark, he sent me a request to be in my video. He has. So we're waiting for Mark. I knew he wouldn't let me down. Hold on 1 second. Connect. Good morning.
I'm just an online god at the moment.
You are. So good morning. Should we tell everyone who's watching what we were doing when I first spoke to you this morning? You were out on your walk.
If you want to, yeah.
So I phoned Mark this morning, and just to check everything was all right. And what were you doing, Mark? Come on, share.
So I was delivering a mannequin head to a friend of ours around the corner who's got this lovely Volkswagen Beetle soft top, white with a black soft top, which he loves. And Jamie's been cutting some men's mannequin heads. So we've just been, after we've finished with them, we've just been putting, it's really stupid, totally stupid, taking them around and putting them on the top of his car. So, yeah, just for something to do. No, it's fun. It was a beauty. I mean,
well,
sorry,
your connection's not. No, mine says it's all right. It's yours that's what. Don't be blaming me.
I can see me.
I can see you. You're a little bit fuzzy, but we can see you.
I'll tell you what. There's a new thing, isn't there? Like Wi-Fi envy. You know, it's not my Wi-Fi.
Not mine. No,
listen.
Last
my
week,
Wi-Fi is fine.
Last week with Mark Woolley, it was definitely mine, and my phone broke. So I have a new phone. So I'm optimistic for the phone, but maybe not the Wi-Fi. So
what new phone have you got?
Oh, it's only a 10, iPhone 10. So it'll do.
Well, I don't know what this is.
Don't turn it round. Don't turn it round.
No, I put some petrol in it this morning. It should be all right.
Excellent. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So someone's saying they had a Beetle. Karen Simpson, I had a Beetle. I used to love it. It's done up like Herbie from the films. Good morning, Wella.
I know. We've got some... Well, actually, no, I can't say what else we're going to do. We are going to do something else with this car, but I can't tell you what that is because we haven't done it yet.
No, and he might
We've got a few more mannequin heads here yet. I know, exactly. So I know he caught me this morning as well. He out the window. Anyway, never mind.
He did. You speeded up then. Slap of your tea. So I'm sure everybody knows that you are International Creative Director for Sassoon.
Right.
And it's a 40+ year relationship you've had with them. So before we talk about the current situation, I think we should actually start with some positivity, and let's talk about you and your career. So working with Vidal, I mean, he is the most famous hairdresser in the world to this day. How did it start?
With Sassoon?
Vidal. Yeah, with Sassoon.
Oh my goodness. Well, kind of a bit weird, to be honest. There's no hairdressers in my family. There's no history of hair. So I left school with this concept of becoming I went to technical college to study architectural design, and thinking, I didn't know about the Bauhaus then or anything like that. I don't want to be pretentious in that way, but I was just I was a 15-year-old kid, so I was just told what to do. So I just kind of found myself at college, and it was all about maths and physics. And I was like, gosh, the two, I mean, I don't mind maths, but physics, forget it. I just don't get it. So I left there, and this is 1976. So punk, and, punk had just happened. David Bowie had kind of disappeared off the radar a little bit. And I think I sort of latched onto the punk thing. And to be honest, as randomly as this guy that lived, his house backed onto my parents' house where I lived, he just started hairdressing. He was a bit older than me. He just started hairdressing and he was really cool. So I thought, well, I'll do that then. That sounds cool. It sounds like a way of playing. You know, I was into music. I was into style. I was into the way that I looked. And I remember going to a barbershop. Around that time, I went to a barbershop and got my hair cut. And I took a picture in of a footballer whose hair I liked. It wasn't Kevin Keegan. It was actually Gordon Hill. He used to play on the wing for Manchester United. He had really cool hair. Anyway. And I remember sitting there, and I distinctly remember, I can still see it now. I remember sitting there, and you sat on a bench and waited for your turn. It wasn't like a posh thing or anything. And you hoped you got the one who looked like he knew what he was doing, not the blind one in the corner. That was, you know. And I remember thinking, God, they all seem to be having a really cool time, these guys. You know, I remember they were talking about an Oscar Peterson gig they were going to be going to that night. And I came home after my haircut, and said, my mum was, bless her, doing the washing up in the kitchen. And I said, you know, I'd left school by this time. I said, I'm going to be a hairdresser. And after she dropped the whole dinner service on the floor, I was going to go to college. My mum was a dinner lady at a college. And I didn't want to know what a dinner lady is these days.
Do they still have dinner ladies? That's showing our age. I don't know.
They're probably called.
They won't be allowed to be called dinner lady. That's for sure.
They'll be called lunch
technician. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Lunch technician. Yeah.
There was a hairdressing. It was Hornchurch Technical College, I think it was called. And I was and I got all the stuff, all the pink forms. What were they pink? Got all these pink forms through. My auntie Jackie, who's kind of a bit famous in Sassoon. Well, she's a bit famous anyway, really. She's 95 now, I think. And she came over for Sunday lunch around this time. My dad, we were all sat having lunch. My dad wasn't speaking to me, I don't think, because of my choice of profession. He just didn't get it, bless him. And my mum told Auntie Jackie. Auntie Jackie has a daughter, Janice, who was a model in the 60s with Twiggy. So they were always super glamorous. So I used to love it when they came round to our house, because I used to look at them. And my cousin, Janice, she's a little bit older than me, but she used to say like things like, "Mummy, we're splitting now." She used to say like she used to wear cool Afghans things. And she was just so super cool. And Auntie Jackie was told that I was going to be a hairdresser from girls. She said, "Oh no. Don't go to college. You should go to Vidal Sassoon." And it sounds weird now because she was a client at Sassoon. Yeah. And it sounds weird now, 43 years later, that I'm not sure if I knew who Vidal Sassoon was then, but I just kind of said, "Oh yeah, all right then." She was cool. So I thought, I wrote off and went for an interview with Philip Rogers, who you and I know very well.
Both know, yeah.
And is he still the chairman of the Benevolent or not?
Yeah, it's now the Hair and Beauty Charity. He is our chairman. Sorry. Yes, he is. Spoke to him yesterday. Yes, he is.
Did you? Is he well?
Yeah, he's very well.
Oh, that's good. And so I went for my interview in Brook Street at the head office, and up all those stairs.
Oh, those stairs.
Yeah, and there was Philip. And I walked in, this 16-year-old kid from Essex. My mum and Auntie Jackie came with me, much to my... I know. And
I love that.
I know. And the interview couldn't have gone worse. I mean, I was so super nervous. And the whole place smelled like, you walked in and there was the barber shop next door, and you walked up the stairs, and I remember the whole place smelled of this cherry almond shampoo, the famous brown line. And that smell, whenever when we used to go to P&G, and they used to actually have still samples of that stuff, it takes me right back to that moment. I walked into Philip's office, and he sort of looked up, and I'd never seen anyone as shiny and as perfectly manicured as him. His hair was like perfect. I remember his nail watch. He had a burgundy leather jacket on. I mean, it was the 70s, bless him.
Yeah, we'll forgive him for that.
And he's got this extraordinary, he looks sort of slightly Mediterranean, I always think. Yeah, kind of, very dark skin. And he spoke so perfectly. And I've got this Essex accent. And he asked me, I don't know, he might have asked me, like, how did you get, was your journey all right? And I went, yeah. And he said, he looked at me and went, do you know that yes has an S on the end of it? That was the start. That was
Brilliant.
the start of my Sassoon career. Do you know that yes has an S on? And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
So the rest of the interview, I just sounded like some retarded snake or like I was deflating.
Oh, bless you.
And I came out and I thought, well, that went well. And he said to me, go round to South Molton Street, and that's where you'll be starting. I think he might have said. Anyway, he said go round South, and we walked round. I came out, and my mum and my auntie. How did it go? Well, yeah, we went round South Molton Street, and at the time there was obviously during the 70s there was lots of insurrection going on in London. So the road was cordoned off. There was like a package, a suspicious package in South Molton Street. And South Molton Street's a pedestrian street. And I remember standing at the bottom of South Molton Street on Brook Street, looking up, and no one was allowed to go in, but no one was allowed to come out. Is this too long, this story?
No, keep going. No, everyone's loving it. Go.
And I remember seeing the assistants, right, there was a sandwich shop opposite the salon, and it was probably about 100 yards away or so. And I remember looking up, and the assistants were running backwards and forwards from the salon, obviously getting the clients sandwiches from the sandwich shop, because no one could leave. And I distinctly remember thinking, I want to be one of them, because they just all had this uniform, this like you used to wear.
Cool.
Well, it was just. I look back on it now, and I sort of think every young person wants to kind of belong to something.
It's true.
They want to belong to a tribe, or they want to be, and I kind of wanted to, because I certainly didn't fit in Essex. I love my mum and my dad and my sister and brother, and my upbringing was pretty kind of normal, but I was desperate to do something significant. And as my chance of playing centre forward for Tottenham Hotspur, I think had eluded me at the age of about 14, when I discovered girls and, whatever.
Stuff.
Stuff.
Just part that stuff.
Exactly, yeah, sorry. I thought, I want to be one of them. And a couple of weeks later, there I was, running down South Molton Street at 8:30 in the morning to be an assistant. First day.
Wow. Okay.
Italian manager, Aldo. As I walked in the door, he said to me, I said, oh, hello, my name's Mark. I probably said, all right, my name's Mark. Yeah. I'm starting today. And he went, yeah, go and get the keys. I'm like, and I thought, and I've never met an Italian person before. So I thought, oh, he hasn't heard me properly. Yeah. So I said, no. And I started, I'm Mark. This is the manager. I didn't probably say it that badly, but I said, no, I'm Mark, I'm starting. Go and get the keys. I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what keys you mean. And what he was saying was, go and meet the kids. He used to call all the assistants going to the kids. So I was like, I'll just go downstairs, shall I?
Yeah, I'll see you later. We've had a question from...
Shall I get my coat?
We've had a question from the Journal magazine saying that, did you have any idea that you were going to lead that tribe?
No, not at all. No, I was too nervous and shy and quiet and everything. If you could list all the things that were going to make a successful hairstylist or professional hairdresser, I probably had one. Probably.
Which was?
Well, I was polite, and what I found was, and to me, politeness will open so many doors.
Absolutely.
I think everyone,
good manners.
I'll tell you what was weird. Tell you what's weird about this whole situation, this whole coronavirus thing, this whole lockdown and everything. I was out as you know, I was out this morning because you were with me.
I do know. I was with you on your walk.
And as I was walking back, it's when January the 1st, when you go out for a walk on New Year's Day, everyone morning, even if you don't know them, morning, and you're like, why today? This guy, I was walking towards the curb and he was turning left. So I sort of stopped to let him drive. And as he drove past me, he went, got no idea who he is.
Yeah, but it's made the world a kinder place. So let's hope that lasts.
That's what I thought. And I thought, if someone was to ask me what's the prevailing sort of vibe in the UK on all this, it is that people are just sort of, everyone. I mean, obviously they have to because of social distancing and all that sort of stuff. But people are letting other people through the doors first.
Yeah.
And I always remember that was one thing about Vidal that, people say to me, oh, you spent a lot of time with Vidal and, did he ever say anything significant to you? Or did it, I'm like, everything Vidal said was significant. You know, you hung on his every word because you just knew that he was so, you know, it.
I think he's the best
politeness.
speaker I've ever heard.
Oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. And the best, and also actually the best listener. I mean, you know, going back to my career, I was lucky because I started in June, and a month, or I think it must have been like a matter of weeks or so after that, Vidal was visiting because he was moving. He was living in California, I think by then. Anyway, he was living in America, and he was coming over to do this tour. And whenever, two things I remember distinctly about my apprenticeship. One was when, because we were in South Moulton Street, head office is around the corner.
Yeah.
Someone would buzz around from head office. Philip's on his way around.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you used to just polish anything. I remember he walked into the staff room once. This is God's honest truth. And I had a sandwich. I was having lunch. I had lunch every Thursday in July. That was, you know, when I was an assistant. And I was polishing and eating a sandwich at the same time. And he said to me, "We don't mind if you sit down and eat sometimes."
It seemed quite some advice. So, exactly. I mean, someone said, actually, I have to disagree with Hair at 15, who's saying loving the Spurs mug. I would have banned you from the interview if I'd known you were going to have that thing looking at me as a Man United fan.
Let me tell you about Vidal.
Come on, talk to me about Vidal.
And so I'd been there a couple of weeks, and Vidal had asked to meet all of the assistants. Sorry, I've got these messages keep popping up. I'm terrified of touching anything.
Don't touch. I'll read well, there's lots on there. You can see them afterwards. Lots of love coming your way. That's
good. Thank you. And Vidal asked to meet all the assistants, so we all kind of gathered after work, and in the school in Davies Mews. And Vidal walked in with Philip, so I'm like that. All right, Phil. No, I didn't. All right, my friend. And Philip walked in with Vidal, and Vidal just looked like a movie star. You know, he wasn't particularly tall or big, you know, he was just kind of, you know, but he looked super healthy and super fit. He was tanned. Yeah. He looked immaculate, you know, very, very kind of healthy. And, you know, he just exuded this kind of, you know, thing. And there was a stage in the corner of the room, and Philip said, "Do you want to use?" And Vidal went, "No." And Vidal was, you know, you met Vidal, you know, he was always so softly spoken, you know what I mean? I never saw him raise his voice. Or never heard him raise his voice, rather. And he came in and sat down in amongst all of us lot, and it might get me a bit choked this actually just thinking about it. And he sat down, looked around the room at all of it. There's about 40 of us all sat there in our dungarees, and you know. And he looked around the room, smiled, paused, smiled, and said, now I get to talk to the important people." And yeah, to have him, this guy whose name was over the door. And I remember going home that night and thinking, somehow I've ended up at this amazing place with this amazing guy, with these amazing people, because they were all into like punk, and, you know, all the assistants were into punk and all the stylists were into disco. So you had this constant battle with the music in the salon. You'd put the Clash on, someone would take it out and put Saturday Night Fever on, and you'd kind of swap it for the Stranglers. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I've just ended up at this amazing place. Everyone was into their haircuts, and I remember not knowing what the hell they were doing, but they were all talking about this concave technique. And I remember, you know, fascinated with what they were doing with it. And I thought to myself, I want to be able to do that. So my first haircut was on my brother, and I saw someone pointing into a fringe. You know that,
right? Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I didn't think, well, that doesn't look too difficult. But I thought, well, I'll have a go at that. So Stephen, my brother, bless him, he's 3 years younger than me. Bearing in mind it's the 70s, he had long, sort of shaggy, layered hair. I know. I said, let me just put a towel around his neck. We're up in the bedroom playing, like, I don't know, God knows what we were playing, and musically. And I took the first chunk, kitchen scissors. I didn't have any head scissors.
Oh no.
Big lump of hair falls into his lap. And I remember his head sort of went, and he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and you know when you get that sort of cold sweat,
fear,
yeah, like and I sort of combed it, and I kind of did it all, and I went downstairs and finished it, and he looked like a cross between Elton John and a lion.
Oh no,
long hair, and I kind of thought, oh. And my dad sat there with the Sunday paper, just sort of went, Well, you know, if you done with his hair. Thank you for that constructive criticism, Father.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Anyway.
I mean, you know, to Hairdressers Today, the role that you had traveling with Vidal around the world, doing the shows, the launches, all that kind of stuff. Do you have one favourite memory of those times?
With Vidal?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, years later, 1986, I went to Australia with Vidal for 3 weeks, and we travelled around Australia and New Zealand. And I'll put some of the pictures up on my Instagram. You'll be proud of me.
Who set up your Instagram, Mark?
You.
Thanks.
I still don't know what the password is. I can't log out.
And I can't remember either.
I'll never be able to log back in again. And so I spent 3 weeks with Vidal. And I mean, a couple of, amazing, you know, amazing things. And I remember I'd arrived a couple of days before Vidal, and they'd got me doing like magazine work and everything else. And I had this white Rolls Royce pick me up every day from this. I know it was Vidal. They'd hired it for Vidal, and they'd just got it early, so I had it. So there's me. I know, staying in the Seabull Townhouse, which is like this really swanky hotel in Sydney. Staying there, going off to do Australian Vogue, this British hairdresser. You know, it's kind of mental. And Dire Straits was staying in the same hotel, right?
Right.
So in the morning, there's all these fans on the other side of the road behind barriers, and this white roller pulls like Mark. You know, they phoned me up in Marine. Mark, you know, you've got your car's downstairs. We're going off to do this interview with blah blah blah. So I come downstairs with my kit roll, my bag, and the doors open, the white Rolls Royce, and they all think it's Dire. I walk out, and they're all like, "Yeah, who's that?" Whatever. I'm like, morning.
take the applause. Take the applause.
And anyway, so then Vidal turned up, and they called down, and they like a few days later, Vidal arrived at the hotel, and they said, "Right, Vidal, we'll see you now." And I was like, "Right, okay." And I'd only met Vidal that one time, and I was an assistant, you know, 10 years previously. So up I go, and I said, "Oh yeah, what's this room number?" And they just said it's on the top floor. You can't miss it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks."
Cool.
So up I go in the lift. And as I get out the lift, the floor's not, you know, the floor's got carpet on it, and it's all the doors are further apart and everything. And at the end, there's Vidal's room, and I went up and I knocked on the door, and I was going to have dinner with Vidal, right, me, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, you know, what am I going to talk about? I'm polishing my shoes on the back of my trousers and everything. And Vidal opens the door, and he said to me, "Oh, hi, you must be Mark." And in that moment, I thought, what is? I couldn't think of it, so I just went, "You must be Vidal."
Oh no! Oh no!
and I kind of saw this look pass across his eyes, thinking 3 weeks with this, it's going to be great. And as we walked into his room, I walked in behind him, and he said to me, he said, "Do you want a drink?" And I was thinking, right, it's kind of early afternoon. Do you have a beer? Do you have a cup of tea? If I have a beer, will you think I'm an alcoholic? If I have a cup of tea, will you think I'm a wimp? And I'm trying to think of what to have. It was like early evening, probably. So I said, "Oh," and he said, "I'm going to have, bless him, polite, I'm going to have a beer." Told me what to, I'll have a beer as well.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I going to talk about? And I walked in, and as I walked in, there was a table, like a bureau thing open with a newspaper there. It's open to the football pages. And I suddenly remembered that he likes football. And I said, "Oh, how did Chelsea get on, Vidal?" And he said, "Oh," he stopped, turned around and said, "Do you like football, Mark?" And I said, "Well, I like Tottenham." I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but yeah, I like Tottenham. And he said, "Oh," and we spent the whole rest of the evening talking about football. Didn't talk about hair once. And for the rest of the 3 weeks, I got this education in just being a polite, humble, gentle human being. And every time in the interviews, we used to do 10 interviews a day, 10, 15 interviews a day.
Okay.
Every single, newspaper, TV, radio, hair on the radio was interesting. Yeah. And he said, he was asked every time, Mary Quant, 60s, and every time he answered it as if he'd never been asked that question before. Thank you so much for asking that. I used to be stood there thinking, God, not again. And he used to, and the person who was doing the interview thinking, I've got a scoop. No one's asked him about this before. Yeah, thank you so much. Amazing. I mean, it was amazing. Amazing. Sorry, I'll shut up now. I'll just listen to your questions. I won't. No,
it's brilliant. Someone's put Mr. Pink Whistles. I don't know if you know who that is on their Instagram, but you were wearing your Catherine Hammett high-waisted pants, apparently.
They weren't high-waisted. They were Catherine Hammett. They weren't high. They were all right. They weren't.
Let's not.
Mr. Pink Whistle is Simon he was an assistant in Manchester. Catherine Hamlet.
Okay.
Yeah. It was all the go in the 80s. Staying Alive in 85.
I Start Hair has asked, this wasn't on our list, but I'm going to ask it. What was the most embarrassing moment for you with either a client or a model? I mean, I can think of one you told me where with you and Tim and the dry cleaning.
Oh, the show, yeah, that was. Oh my God, there was that. Yes, I mean that was when we were both. I was going to Japan and Tim was going to Germany. We were both doing shows, and we took our dry cleaning to the same dry cleaners around the corner from head office. Went to pick it, or someone went to pick it up. They gave me mine, and they gave Tim his. We both said goodbye to each other. Off we went to our various destinations. And in Japan, and I just put my stuff in my case. Went off to do the show, and it was the day of the show. We're prepping the models backstage, like in the morning. The show was 3:00 in the afternoon, and these Japanese people came over. Mr. Hayes, you have to come on stage now. And I was like, no, the show's not for another 5 hours yet. No, opening ceremony, and they love an opening ceremony and you had to come down. So I'm like, oh right, okay, sorry. So I run over, and I had a pair of jeans and a t-shirt on. So I run over to the clothes rail, take my shirt, put my shirt on, put my tie on, and I'm like, where the bleeding are the trousers? Got the trousers out. They're like, oh, ski pants. Put them back in. I'm like, hang on a minute, where are my trousers? And they weren't in, and I had Tim's trousers, and Tim is, a different style to me. Tim's got a much more flamboyant way of dressing than I have. So I'm looking at these ski pants, and they were kind of, fitted, and I had these normal shoes, normal suit, I dressed quite normally, but there was no option, so I had to put them on. And I just thought, right, that's it. So on they went, these ski, and they came halfway up my calves, and I sort of belted them round me, because they had no belt loops or anything. They were all like fashiony. Put my shoes on, and I'm like, what an idiot. And this guy came over, this Japanese man, Mr. Hayes, you have to come now. Yeah, I'm coming. I'm like thinking, what do I look like? I thought, thank God I'm in Japan. And they'll all be doing it next year. you know what I mean? And
Oh, we've lost you, Mark. Hang on, your connections. That's it, you're back.
Oh, sorry, I've just had a low battery signal. So I'll have to
That's
do
all
it
right.
again.
Okay, don't worry.
And they put a big rosette on me as well, just to finish the ensemble off. And
Nice.
and someone had put a mirror by the stage for me to walk past.
No.
To check your appearance before you went. I thought, there's no way I'm looking in that bloody thing. And I just went on stage probably looking like a clown.
No.
And then another time, what was another time? Oh, another time in Spain. We were doing a tour with Weller in Spain. And it was the show was at 11, so we had to prep from like 5 in the morning. And put it this way, we'd all enjoyed Spain's hospitality the night before, and everyone was, hangover, and we're trying to get this show together. And we had these badge dresses covered in Sassoon 50 badges. It was 50 years.
I remember those.
Yeah, and I'm trying to stick these badges on with a hangover, like, ow. So anyway, we're backstage, and I said, right, are we all ready? No one's ready. Everyone's like, can't find Annie, can't find Martin. And then they can't find the interpreter. So I said, look, it's 11 o'clock. We're supposed to be on stage. I'm going on stage. Stupid idiot. I'm going on stage. Will you help me, Lucy? This is Lucy, my daughter, is helping me with the powering. You've got a piece of bread in your mouth. Do you want to see my daughter?
Oh, don't do that to her. Morning. He's so mean.
Sorry. No, but they're all great at... Will you do it, darling? I don't know how to do it. Sorry.
That's such a dad comment.
Well, I had to
so go on, you're going on stage.
So I'm going on stage, and the interpreter, I can't find the interpreter. So I said, right, I'm going on stage now. If you're not ready by the time I finished introing, there's going to be trouble. I don't know what I was going to do. And I went on stage, and I thought, I know what I'll do. Speaking a bit of the local language, get them on my side. The audience.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Buongiorno.
Oh.
This is Valencia in Spain.
No.
Buongiorno.
No.
Obviously, silence.
Yeah,
Silence.
just look at you.
And I'm thinking, microphone's not working. Oh, yes, it is. So, to my everlasting embarrassment, I do it again. Buongiorno. Nothing. By this time, the interpreter's caught up with me, and she just says, Buenos dias. And I'm like, yeah, that's the one, thanks. I tried for the rest of the show to pretend I was Italian. But yeah, so those were my two most embarrassing. Right, we're just going to have a little wobble here.
Oh, we're having a little wobble, but you can keep talking. So, favourite haircut that you've ever done?
Favourite haircut? Well, there was one. I mean, the first one was called Toya. Do I need to hold it up? Okay, couldn't help us. It's a bit close. I need longer arms. The first one, the first one was called Toya, which was 1981. Which I had this idea of undercutting the fringe,
right?
Which I did, but then because I was only a kid, they took it off me and coloured the fringe. It was white, bleach white, and because they coloured the fringe red, and it looks like a head. In fact, everyone thinks it's a headband, and it wasn't. It was supposed to be the fourth dimension fringe. Undercut, and it was the first undercut fringe. So that, and then there was another one that I did called Rachel. It was the other Rachel cut, not that one. In 2008, and it was the first one we did for the Sassoon Professional brand. Okay. And that it was black, and the outfit was red, and the background was white. And
Can you post these on your Instagram?
Yeah, sure.
So if you're not following, everybody that's watching, you need to follow Mark H. Sassoon, because there's some great stuff on there. Now he's posting more. I'm very proud of you for posting more. You obviously you work. I know you work with a creative team who. So Edward, how does that creative process work when you're putting? Because obviously you do your photographic collections and then you do your live show. So you'll be at Salon International again this year.
Absolutely.
So how does that creative process work?
Well, I suppose it's a continual thing, really. To call it a process kind of implies that there's a beginning and there's an end. It's just a continue. I'm in a very fortunate. I mean, I'm so lucky to do what I do because I've got someone else coming. Can you hear that creaky?
I love the creaky door. You need some WD-40 on that.
Creaky door. It's my knees, actually. I've just stood up. Sorry. Yeah. So the creative. Essentially, I spend most of my time hanging out with super cool people who do super cool hair, and we then just, people say to me, "How do you come up with the ideas?" That's not the issue. I mean, I don't mean to sound arrogant. That's not the issue. The issue is picking out the great ideas from the raft of great ideas, you know. And it's just a case of having a really cool time and then collaborating with really cool people, whether they're whether they're models or photographers or makeup artists or obviously the team, and it's just fantastic. It's a fantastic process. I want to do a course actually where we do the same thing, where we all Jamie's here now. Do you want to say hello to Jamie? Hi,
Jamie, who's also a barber. I saw you cutting Dad's hair on the Instagram. Hi, Jamie.
Jamie's going to put us onto a tripod.
Just assisting.
Not me personally. Just
that would be worth of you. Someone's asked what's the best advice. So Airbrush Makeup IE has asked, what is the best advice you could give to hairdressers all around the world?
What's the best advice I could give to hairdressers all around the world?
What would you say?
Oh, enjoy yourselves. Always. I always say that. Just enjoy.
Oh, Mark's frozen, so hopefully he's coming back. Hold on a second. I am trying to get through everybody's questions. So sorry, go Mark. Sorry.
Am I back now?
That's it. You're back. You're back now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's gone quieter though. Just enjoy yourself. Do creative. Try and be as creative as possible. Just enjoy what you do. Enjoy what you do, because it's hard work, hairdressing, in the term that it's quite, you're standing up and it's kind of physical, but you've just got to enjoy it, I think. Have a great time.
They've also asked, does Bob mean something? Does the actual express...
Is he coming?
Yeah.
Is he here?
But as in the stuff, where did that come from? Do you know?
The line.
Yeah.
Obviously the bob, the bob sort of hairstyle, that haircut has been around for, literally thousands of years.
Yeah.
The modern